Okay. So, let's see here. Am I live? Let me see. All right, am I live? Let me check. Am I live? Am I here? I think I am. All right, y'all. So welcome. Let me get my chat going here, and then if you're here, say hi. This is my first time doing a multi-platform live stream, so I figured stuff might go wrong. So if you're here, let me know by saying hi in the chat. So let's see here. So if I'm live, let me know. Yeah, so if I'm here, let me know. Okay, so I am live. And is anybody watching? Let's see. Let me open up my chat. All right. So let me see if I'm live. I think I am. Let me check Facebook. But if anybody's here, please say hi. Oh, I already have one comment. And that's myself. Okay, so I believe I'm up. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone to the WordPress 101, building a website using assistive technology. Let me quick mute my Facebook. You know what? I never started my video. Let me do that as well. So, I see we have a couple people watching. If you're here, please say hi in the chat. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn my video on and we're going to get the show on the road. And yeah, now that I know my chat works, let's go ahead and get started. All right, ready? 3. Actually, I'm going to record here. All right, meeting, record. By the way, clips of this stream will also end up on the podcast and as separate YouTube videos as well. So I'm going to make it pretty easy for y'all to try to find what we're talking about today. So there'll be different sections for different things that we talk about. So, and there's also going to be a lot of referral links today and a lot of links in general. So I'm going to be putting links in the chat and they will also be in the description and show notes when this comes out later. All right. So, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Taylor's Tech Talks live stream. Today, we're going to be doing a WordPress 101 course, and my name is Taylor Arndt, and I'm going to be the instructor. If you've never seen any of my podcasts or videos or of that sort, let's kind of go and do a little bit of introduction just so that you know who you're working with. So, again, my name is Taylor Arndt. I've been in the industry of website development for the past 3 years, helping clients from universities, nonprofits, and other companies become more accessible, more inclusive, and most importantly for this course, get online for the first time. In today's course, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting from the absolute fundamentals, what you need to know to build a WordPress website with assistive technology, and we're going to work our way up to more advanced topics. It is my pleasure to be doing this for you today, and this is a very interactive stream. So if you have any comments, you can feel free to put them in the chat, and they will be addressed. So on every platform, if you have questions, again, you can put it on the chat. So whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, because I'm streaming to all 3 platforms for the first time, you can go and be sure to put your comments in the platforms. We're also going to be joined later on by Michael Dowies, one of our other chat moderators as well. He's another one of my teammates. Yeah, so we're going to be doing that as well. Sorry, I just got a text message. So those are kind of some of the things that I would keep in mind. And yeah, feel free to chat and we're going to get this thing started. So without further ado, if anybody has any questions, I would like to hear them. If not, we're going to get started with our first little section here. And yeah, we'll see. So I'm just going to pause for a second so that way the chat can catch up and I can respond to questions. So let's see what we have here. Let me go ahead and see what I'm doing here. All right, so let's see here. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to say so. All right, so I don't hear any chat messages. So I don't hear anything, so let's go ahead and get started with our first section, which is what is WordPress and how do I even begin to think about making a website? So let's go ahead and get that going here. Got a little bit of kind of a presentation, but not really. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about what is WordPress and how do I get started. By this point, you've probably already determined that you want a website. And you probably have some kind of idea. At least I hope you do. And if not, there's no fault of that either. But it's always good to have kind of a plan. But you're probably wondering, how do I even get started? Because it's not all that easy to try to just whip up a website. I mean, you could do it, right, with like builders like Squarespace and Wix and GoDaddy and all those things. But they don't really make all that accessible websites. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to share with you the techniques that I use to get new websites off the ground accessibly and inexpensively as well. So the first thing needed to create a website is your domain. And your domain is like your physical address. So think of, for example, google.com. That's kind of your physical address on the web, or tailораccess.com, or, websiteexample.com. Just some generic term or some generic domain, as it's called. That is the most basic part of a website. It's almost like you can think of your physical address on the web. So basically, whenever users type that into their address bar, it will bring them to your website. That's great, but we also need hosting. And what hosting allows us to do is hosting will allow us to have our property. So obviously we have our domain, which will just allow us to have our address, but there's nothing there. It's just like an empty piece of land. And so we need to be able to fill that with something, and so that's where hosting comes in. Basically, hosting allows us to rent space on a server that is managed by a web hosting company. And what it does is basically allows us to store all of our stuff. So our WordPress, whether that's media, whether that's, images, or even your website files as a whole to try to make it run. Everything is stored on that server, and so it's the combination of your domain plus your hosting that will allow you to be able to, have a website that visitors can access. So those are kind of the parts that you need to get started. Now, how do you build your website? So just because you have your parts that you need to get started, and we're going to talk about in the next section how you actually go about getting these different parts. But I just want to do some fundamentals so that people are clear on kind of how this all works. So how do I actually, build the site? Because it's one thing to have the parts. What I would say is there's a lot of different options out there, right? You've got WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, and a whole bunch of other builders like GoDaddy. But this course is on WordPress. And WordPress is a content management system, or CMS. It basically allows anyone to build a site very easily without any or much code at all. So in other words, it's a drag and drop interface, and you can kind of think about it like Microsoft Word. It is very easy to use and is great for beginners and powers over 40% of the internet, which is awesome. So it's definitely widely used. I use it for all my websites. Definitely use it for all my sites. And it just makes it really easy for people to have websites that are accessible as well, because WordPress creates fully accessible websites on both the front and the back end. Okay, so how do I get started with WordPress? Because this WordPress thing sounds great. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, but the general principles are that there are two main versions of WordPress in production. There's WordPress.com and WordPress.org. WordPress.com is a proprietary version, meaning that it is owned by a company, Automatic, who owns the WordPress.com brand. Usually you can think of that as having like blogs and other things on it. It's kind of the WordPress that everybody thinks of when they look at WordPress. And then you have WordPress.org, which is open source. And non-technically speaking, open source is basically where the source code is available to anyone, and it basically allows contribution from the community and innovation that way. So instead of having it through Automatic where it's closed source, it is open source and you host it on your own server. So we were just talking about servers a minute ago. And so what you would do is you would install it on your web host. Now, some web hosts have it installed automatically, while as some, you have to install it yourself. And we're actually going to be showing the process for both today. So it's going to be kind of easy for you to be able to choose which way you're going to go. So, in other words, WordPress.com is good for those who need a managed experience. Maybe you just have a simple blog, or maybe you want to start out for free, because WordPress.com allows you to start out for free, assuming that you want a stipulation that your domain will end in .wordpress.com, because that's always, helpful, right? Because I don't want, Taylor's website .wordpress.com. And so you want to keep that in mind as well. Okay, so apparently I'm not on my YouTube channel. That's fun. Okay, so am I on YouTube, y'all? Okay. So if anybody watching on YouTube right now, let me know. Because yeah, apparently I'm not on YouTube at the moment. Which is interesting. Okay. Awesome. David, you're on YouTube as well. Awesome. Okay. So I'm not sure what that's about, but I'm going to continue to move on here. So either way, y'all, we've got those two different parts, right? So WordPress.org is a recap. That is a recap, right? So WordPress.org is good for self-hosted sites, meaning that you are wanting full control. So in other words, you own your content. And that is the biggest takeaway here, is that with WordPress.com, Automatic is in full control. So if they don't like something, they could just say, oh, bye-bye, I'm going to take it down. Whereas WordPress.org, you are in control. So WordPress.com is, like I said, it's managed for you, but the drawback is that you don't own control of your content. And that right there on its own is why I choose WordPress.org, and I recommend everyone does WordPress.org. And it may be a little bit more of a learning curve, right? Because you don't have everything managed for you. But I would rather make sure that my content is visible for all, and I don't want to have to deal with me not owning my content. So does that kind of make sense for everyone? So for those two reasons, I like to use WordPress.org, because I can make sure that I am the one in control, not some other company. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So let's kind of do a recap and why you might choose one or the other, just so that everyone's clear. And if anybody does have any questions, feel free to let me know in the chat, and I will answer them live on stream. So WordPress.com, again, is great for those who want a managed experience and who may not care that their stuff is not owned by them, right? Maybe they have a simple blog, or Whoa, I'm streaming to 2 YouTube channels? Oh, awesome. Okay, so apparently I'm streaming to 2 YouTube channels, y'all. I had no idea. But anyways, well, that's good. So that's just an off topic. Michael Dowies said, hey, you're streaming to 2 YouTube channels. So, by the way, Michael Dowies, if we haven't mentioned him already, I think we need to, because he is another one of our awesome chat moderators and people that are in the Taylor's Tech Talks community. He's been on all of my streams pretty much the last 3 weeks. And you should check out his Techopolis YouTube channel. Michael, do you want to throw a link to that in the chat? Because we do Techopolis live on there as well. So, anyways, those are just kind of that whole thing. Like I said, this is kind of a little bit off-winded here, but yeah, so WordPress.com, WordPress.org, those are kind of the differences. So, any questions about any of that before I move on to actually obtaining our parts to make a website? I'm just going to kind of give it about 15, 20 seconds to make sure. But this Restream TTS is working out great. Okay. And if you're not subscribed, I will go ahead and subscribe. Or if you're not following the Facebook page, go ahead and on LinkedIn. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, share it with your friends so that this can get more out there. But yeah, so let me go ahead and, if I don't have any more questions. But yeah, Michael, if you want to throw a link to Techopolis in the YouTube, in the chat, that would be definitely helpful. All right, so I don't see any questions, so we're going to move on to obtaining our different parts here. So obtaining our domain, and then how do we obtain our hosting? So let me go ahead and move on there. Okay, so we just talked about WordPress.org, and we talked about what WordPress is. I now want to talk about getting our parts together. How do we get a domain, and how do we get our hosting? It's great that we understand the fundamentals, but I actually want to get working. So, the first things first, we need a domain, right? I mean, we can kind of get hosting without a domain, but it's very hard. Where do I get my domains? One word, hover. Hover is where I love to get my domains. In fact, Hover is the only place that I get my domains, and the only place Michael gets his domains as well. So Hover is a domain name registrar. In other words, they specialize in selling of domains, and they've got a lot of different extensions. So .com, .info, .org, .net, all the popular ones, even specialty ones like .online or .solutions or any extension you can think of, Hover's probably have it. The also good news is that they're committed to accessibility. They're a very ethical company, and they know what they're doing. Meaning that they have 24/7 technical support, so if something goes wrong or you can't figure out something, they will definitely go ahead and help you with that. So I'm going to throw a link, and if you use this link to purchase your domain, you get $2 off. And while Hover may be a little bit more expensive than some of the other domain name registrars out there, you are backed by their 24/7 tech support, and that is worth it for me to pay an extra premium. Let me know in the chat if you guys agree. So typically domains range from $14 to $18 per year, and Hover's kind of the same, right? But if you use my link, again, disclaimer, it is an affiliate link, and I will get a little bit of a kickback, but that will go to help improve the channel and the company itself. So if you want to use that link, then you will get $2 off your purchase of your domain, and then I will also get that as well. So let me go ahead and put that in the description, in the chat, so that everyone has access to that. And then we're going to go ahead and get into Hover, and I'll show you kind of the general process. For the sake of clarity, I already bought our domain because that would just be a lot easier to do live. And what I am going to do, though, is kind of show you the process of how you would go about doing it. But I just wanted to make sure that I had that in place. So let me get that link for you guys, and then we'll continue on and we'll David, that is a good question. $2 off your first purchase. Yep, David, that's a really good question. So $2 off your first purchase for Hover. Or if you share your link with your friends, then they get $2 off, and then, you get $2 off either a purchase or renewal, or you just get $2 Hover credit. So good question, David. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I failed to mention that. So let me put this in the links here. And while you're doing that, all right, so let me see here. All right, so let me go ahead and put this link in here, and I had it up here. Then, of course, it went away. But yeah, David, $2 off your first purchase and in any renewal. So it's just kind of a $2 credit. Does that help? All right, so Hover. And what I'm going to also do is, yep, cool. Yes, David, it really is a good deal also because they do have, they're very ethical and they're very, very accessibility focused. So like I said, I've had times where maybe something isn't accessible. Their tech support will literally just help me do it. So it's pretty awesome. So let me go ahead and put this in here. Of course, I had it all ready to go, and it decided to not show up. All right. So while I'm getting those together, actually, I'm going to put both of these links in here. So we talked about Hover. I think everyone's clear on Hover. And to access that, you'll go to hover.com. And what you're presented with is you're presented with a list of different domains and different things. So you can literally buy a domain on the homepage, and then if you don't have an account, you can create one. So that's kind of how that works. But all right, so let me and I'm also streaming on Windows 365 today, so all new setup, which means that there can be sometimes issues. Wow. All right. So, all right, here we go. So I'm going to put this link in here, and then we'll talk about hosting. If I can. All right, sure. Let's talk about hosting. So we recall that we have two parts to this whole equation. We've got our domain and we've got our hosting. I think that it's pretty clear at this point. So our domain, again, physical address, and then our hosting is kind of our property. Now, there's a lot of hosting companies out there, and there's a lot of ones I don't recommend either. I would recommend, actually, you use DreamHost. And what we're going to do in the next lesson is we're going to actually use DreamHost. And we're going to look at the panel and kind of get an orientation. So DreamHost is an awesome web host. In fact, they're super awesome because last week they had a newsletter and they literally threw out some stuff about accessibility. They literally put that in there. It's just a casual thing, be like, hey, you need to make your stuff accessible and here's some resources. I've never seen a web hosting company do that. And so for them to just flat outright say that, that just makes me super happy. Also, their plans are pretty cheap. They also have something called DreamPress, and basically that's a managed WordPress website hosting experience where you can get features like Jetpack Professional, all the backups and stuff, for your site. So if you're like a casual blogger maybe and you just want it done for you, you don't want to manage the server, I would look into DreamPress. It starts at $16 a month, I believe, and that would definitely be good for you. Otherwise, because there are different types of hosting, right, we've got shared and we've got VPS. So shared is like, let's say that you're at an apartment complex, right? You live with a whole bunch of people, an apartment complex. And, one of your neighbors is like, doing things, for example, maybe there's like a water leak or something and they're, dropping it in your apartment. It's the same kind of idea where shared, you're sharing it with a lot of different people. And so, let's say if one website gets a whole bunch of traffic, your website may slow down, right? So it's good for those very small sites, maybe portfolio sites, a personal blog, where you don't need a lot of power and, maybe you don't need a lot of resources either because it is the cheapest, like less than $3 a month DreamHost has for the first year. $2.59, I believe, what that is. Which is just awesome. Because if you're not sure if this is for you, well, you literally have nothing to lose. You can throw up a site and just see if that works. So if you're new to this whole thing, I'd recommend shared hosting. Because it'll be the cheapest, it'll be the lowest risk, and you can kind of get your feet wet. But let's say that you're looking for something a little bit more. Maybe you have a site that, is a lot more intense. Then the next step up is called a VPS, or Virtual Private Server. And what this allows you to do is this will allow you to have a website that is on a server. So a server may be running like Linux or, even a Mac OS server, which Michael and I have. It will allow you to run websites on a server. And the thing is that you get full, complete control. Now, some of these VPSs can start as low as some of these shared hosting. But the downside to this is that you have to manage it yourself. Because, you have to actually manage the security and all the updates like yourself. So it's not going to be managed for you like shared, and it's not going to be a managed thing like the WordPress where, this time you have to do all the work. So if you want, like WordPress, you're going to have to install that all manually. And if you want Cpanel, which is like for web hosting and all that fun stuff, you'd have to install that as well. So this is really recommended for those users who are a little bit more advanced. And maybe you have a lot of that knowledge, which is great. That's awesome. I have a VPS myself. But yeah, it's definitely a more advanced way to go in terms of hosting. And then the next category, so we've talked about, the shared, and we've talked about the managed, and we've talked about the VPS. The other category is kind of a combination of all those, where it's like it's a managed VPS server. So these are things like Cloudways, which basically will allow you to have a server at the VPS provider, so Linode, DigitalOcean, Vultr. But the Cloudways team will manage it for you, so they'll do all the updates, and they'll do all the security, and all the other stuff. The downside to this approach is that basically you have to pay for the server itself, and then you have to pay for the management, right? So it actually can double the monthly cost. So let's say you have a $5 server from Linode, for example, which we use Linode. Obviously, we have a much more expensive server. And then, if you have a Cloudways, they may charge you like $10 to $15 or something. So that's the downside of that, is that it's fully managed, but you're paying for it. And at that rate, if you're doing WordPress, you might as well go for a managed WordPress where you get more WordPress specific features. So does that kind of make sense? Basically, you are kind of, there's good and bad to this, but what I would say for most people is if you have a basic site, maybe like a blog, and you are, gonna start, or even a company website that's not very small, big, that doesn't get a lot of traffic, I would recommend starting with shared. If you're more advanced, you could go as well to the VPS side. And if you're a WordPress, only, then I would recommend getting features like DreamPress, where it's managed. The downside to that, though, is that it's only for one website. But you get all the features. So if you need a staging environment, which basically allows you to create sites that are that are not public, for example, you have that as well. You have one-click backup. In some of the plans, you have Jetpack, which is an awesome plugin that I use for my sites that allows you to be able to get, you can post to social media. You can do a whole bunch of things. That's an awesome plugin that I recommend. And that's what I actually use to manage these posts is Jetpack. And that's a plugin made by Automatic. So the other thing with that is if you like the WordPress app, you can actually use Jetpack to connect to that. And those are something called plugins, which we're going to get to in a minute. But I just thought I would mention that. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to all right. So okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things ready. But what I think I would say, though, is that, is that shared hosting and managed will definitely be the way to go. In this course, what I'm going to do, and also using DreamHost, I am going to have a link for DreamHost. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it in time for the stream, but I'll post it after the fact. And so that way you can use my link again and get some discounts as well. So just look out for that link as well in the days ahead. So, okay. So, let me go ahead and, okay. Okay, I'm going to put this hover link in the chat. There you go. So, we talked about the hosting, and does that make sense to everyone? I know it was kind of all over the place, but does that make sense? So we're going to use DreamHost, and we're going to get hover with our domain. And the other question that may be wondering is, how do we connect the two? And we do that by connecting or changing what are called name servers. And name servers are kind of like, you can think of those as, they're kind of like records or whatever that say, okay, domain name registrar, change and point this website at this server, right? So they're kind of identifiers that say, hey, I want you to point this website at this server. So they usually come in the form of ns1 or ns2 or ns3 or ns4.website.com. For example, DreamHost uses ns1 and ns2, ns3, ns4.dreamhost.com. Typically, you don't need all 4 name servers. There's typically 4. 2 of them are required, but 2 of them you actually do not really need in most circumstances. So usually you just put in ns1 and ns2.dreamhost.com, and that will be mapped to a hover, to your hover. And so once you add it to DreamHost and you check out, those things should match, and you should get kind of a nice little index page. Because DreamHost has WordPress already installed for us, I'm going to be actually showing you the process just in case others don't want to use DreamHost, even though I highly recommend it. I know there may be people who are wanting to use GoDaddy or Bluehost or HostGator or name your other host here. Well, you can use those. I don't really recommend them, A, for accessibility, B, their customer support is usually lacking and most times is lacking, and C, their stuff is just slow, and they can usually price gouge you after the first year. So the first year sounds great, awesome, but next year is going to be like double. So that's why I recommend DreamHost, because they are so ethical. And so I am going to show you the process, though, in case others want to use a different host and that they need to install WordPress, because typically on most hosts you actually have to install WordPress. And so I'm going to be showing that next, but I'm going to wait and see if I have any comments. So do I have any questions from the audience? If I do, I would like to take them now before we actually get into the process. Okay, I don't think I see any all right, so I don't think I see any questions, but I'm just going to give it a second while I get the next section going, where we're going to actually log into Hover, and we're going to actually get our domain. And we're going to also get our DreamHost as well. So I sent the Hover link. So if you guys are following along, feel free to use that, because we're going to actually be getting a domain. So I want to make this as interactive as possible. So yeah, feel free to click on that link, and then, you know, if you want to buy a domain while we're in this course, feel free. If you don't, if you just want to listen, that's cool as well, but I just wanted to put that out there that this is a follow-along course as well. So we're actually going to be building a live website. And basically, it's called wpforall.info. So, okay, so all the fundamentals are done, thank goodness. So let's actually go into Hover, and for this part, I'm actually going to share my screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a domain. And again, for clarity, I already bought the domain just because that would just be a lot easier to do live for y'all, but I want to show you the process anyways, because in case you're going to do it yourself. It's a pretty easy process. What I'd recommend, though, is if you want to use that link and you want to support me, feel free. I always appreciate it. And I put the link in the chat. I'll put it in again in case anybody didn't see it. But that is my special link. Again, you get $2 off your purchase of your domain, so that's a one-time use. But if you're for your friends, they also get $2 off, and you also get $2 off. So it's pretty awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to now go to my Hover, and we're going to buy a domain together. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to also share my sound as well, because I am blind, and I want to make this as accessible as possible for everyone. So I will go ahead and share my screen as well. That way everyone can hear my screen reader. I'm using NVDA on Windows 10. Alright, so share sound. Alright.
Zoom.us audio stop video button. Microsoft Remote Desktop. Microsoft Now and Cloud
I'm
PC
go
Business Space
and
Start list. Toggle start navigation menu items. Restream chat row 1 clickable type of message. Edit button unavailable. Clickable graphic status. Graphic status. Graphic status. Link HTTP 19:43 clickable type of message.
link in here again.
HTTPS:/.
That's the Hover link. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to hover.com, I'm going to click on my own link, although that won't really do anything. So what I would do is if you don't want to use my link for some reason, that's okay as well. Just go to hover.com. Oh, can you guys hear my sound? Chat?
Blank.
Let me know if you can hear my chat.
Restream chat row. Channel content dash YouTube studio dash Google. Channel. Left parent. To right pair. Restream chat row 1 column 1. Restream. Left pair star untitled dash notepad row 1 column 3 star.
David
Notepad
Bartley.
Want to save change. Don't save button.
Yes.
Restream chat row 1 column 1.
Perfect.
Restream chat document. Type a message. Edit blank. Left parent.
Brianna
To right
John.
parent. Taylor's tech talks dash left parent.
Yes.
Left parent.
Awesome. All right, so it seems like a lot of you guys can hear my chat and my stream and my speech, more specifically.
Restream chat row 1 column 2. Manage domains dash hover dash Google Chrome row 1
I'm
column
already
3.
in my hover,
Manage
but I'm
domain.
actually
Left
going to
parent.
get out
To
of
right
it.
parent. Restream chat row 1 column 2. Choose a domain dash stream host dash Google
Okay,
Chrome row 1.
so
Choose a left parent. To right parent.
what we're
Restream chat
gonna
row 1
do
column 2. Reselling and dash stream
is
host
we're
knowledge base
going
dash
to
Google. Dream host affiliate
close
program.
out everything
Left
that I should
parent.
have
To left
done
parent.
before,
Left parent. To
but,
right
you
parent.
know,
Taylor's tech.
that happens.
Restream chat
So-
row 1 column 2. Left parent. To right parent. Taylor's tech talk. Left parent.
What I'm
Restream chat row 1
gonna
column 1. Restream chat row 1 column 1. Restream chat. Restream
Is
chat row
I'm
1
gonna
column
go to
1.
my
Folder view list. Taylor left
favorite
parent. To
browser,
right parent. Dash Chrome.
Google Chrome,
New tab dash Google Chrome
and I'm
dash
going to type in hover.com.
hover. Dot com. Hover.com selected. Document busy blank. Domain name star by domains and email at hover.com. Clickable main landmark. Find your domain name. Edit required invalid entry button. Already have a domain. Learn about link transfer and the link
Okay,
renewing.
so let's say I don't have a domain. It's nice because you can literally type in this box and this little domain box here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to type in a domain. And I already bought the domain that I'm going to use for this course. But let's just say for kicks and giggles that I want to do,
Banner landmark. Main landmark. Find your domain name. Edit required invalid entry.
and to set my assistant off. Let's
Main
just
landmark. Find
say
your domain key.
something to the effect of this
THISTESTING.
this testing website. Let's just see what that comes
Domain
up
name
with.
search results dash hover.
So
HTTPS
I'm going to press
//
enter. And then I'm going to get brought up with a list of search results. So I just typed in this testing website and I pressed enter. Now, the easiest way I found to do this is to actually navigate by button. Because then I can actually see everything without having to go through the millions of extensions that they have. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to go to the top of the page.
Clickable banner
go
landmark.
B.
Visited link graphic cover load main landmark button.
And there are a couple unlabeled buttons.
Add to cart button.
I found the first add to cart button. I'm going to press up arrow.
Sale $12.99 / 14. This testing website.com is available. Get it to
This
your website.
testingwebsite.com is available. I don't really want that, right? Who would want that? But for kicks and giggles, I'm going to press add to cart.
Sale $12.99 button. Add to cart.
And then what you would do is, so if you've already added the domain to your cart, you're going to go up here and you're going to find a link that says 1. And when it says 1, that means that you have 1 item in your cart.
Banner landmark. Quiz navigation. Link email. Link about us. Link log. Link help. Link sign in. Link 1 item.
1 item.
Shopping cart left parent. 1 right parent. Dash hover. Clickable mainland heading level 2 this testing
And from
website.com.
here,
List with 14 items. Domain registration. Clickable 1 year.
1 year. And the cool thing also is that you get free privacy protection as well. So that means that your information is not going to be visible to the whole entire world. Awesome. So that is definitely helpful because we don't want your state and your address to be visible to the entire world. I'm calling out you, GoDaddy, because you don't have free privacy protection. And also, I mean, Namecheap does, but again, Namecheap has other problems. So I would just recommend using Hover. That's just my easiest solution to this. So,
Clickable. $12.99.
$12.99. It's normally $14, but the first year you typically get it for a reduced price. But if you use my link, you know, that could be $10 or however much. So, $2 off definitely. It's not much, but it could definitely help.
Email options. Forward $5 / year.
You can get an email mailbox. I don't recommend doing this as I can sometimes, most of the time, do this on the hosting side for free. So I don't typically buy a mailbox from the domain name registrar.
Receive mail and forward it to your existing email address. Clickable 0. Clickable. Small mailbox $20 / year. Send and receive mail. Clickable 0. Clickable. Big mailbox $29 / year. Add promo code button. Secure checkout button.
I'm going to go to secure checkout.
Cart checkout left parent. 1 right parent. Dash hover. Clickable link sign in. Visited link 1 main landmark button. Use heading level 2 1. Your account main landmark first name.
And if you've never created a Hover account, you're going to put in your first name, your last name, all that crazy fun jazz. And if you have created an account, then you'll want to log in beforehand. Because I'm already bought the domain, I'm not going to go through this, but the cool thing is that you can pay through PayPal or you can pay with a card. So that is definitely nice. They are in Ontario, Canada. So sometimes banks charge international fees, so just keep that in mind. I usually typically pay through PayPal, just because it's kind of trusted and I just already have it on file. So it's a pretty easy process to buy the domain. But again, since we already have one, I'm not going to go through the rest of it. But I just wanted to show you how you add it to cart. Do I have any questions of how I do this process? If anybody's following along, just let me know. But do I have any questions about how this process operates and what, in terms of accessibility, if anybody has any questions, or how that operates? I want to pause for chat to see if I have any questions. FYI, while the screen reader is going, chat messages will be read aloud for the whole entire stream. That's just the nature of doing this streaming this way. So I just wanted to point that out. But I'll give it a little bit and see if I have any chat messages. While I'm waiting for that, though, let me just go over a couple things. So Taylor's Tech Talks is now on Facebook. So Taylor's Tech Talks on Facebook. Some of you guys are probably watching from there. Also YouTube. And we do have a podcast. We're a little bit behind on uploading. So we're going to be uploading the podcast stuff to the website and to the podcast feed. And all this stuff will be included as well. So that'll definitely be a bonus. So we're definitely going to have a podcast episodes, and all the streams will definitely be on the podcast and the YouTube and the Facebook and the website. So taylorstechtalks.com is our website. And if you'd like to become a patron to support what I do on Taylor's Tech Talks and for more great tutorials, visit patreon.com/Taylor's Tech Talks, or I'm going to throw a link in the chat once we're done screen sharing here. That way you guys could subscribe. So $1 a month, and we're actually going to be changing our tiers a little bit too as well. So I have a great announcement to make. So $1 a month will get you access to our awesome Discord server full of amazing people on the Taylor's Tech Talks community. $3 a month will get you access to honorable mentions. $5 a month was formerly our early access tier, but we have decided to change that. And so you will be getting access to our pre-shows on Discord. So if you like our streams and you want to see kind of behind the scenes access to Taylor's Tech Talks, feel free to go on that level, and that's per month as well. So $5 a month, you can get access to all of our pre-shows, usually starting a half hour before stream. And we just kind of talk about whatever. Maybe somebody has any questions or you just want to talk to me about different things. That's what that's for. Our next tier is our $6 tier. And that is the VIP. Basically what this will be is at the end of the streams, I'm going to have a special time for my VIP patrons to come on stream with me. And, you know, we can kind of just talk about different things. So if you'd like to be on the Taylor's Tech Talks YouTube and all the other platforms, feel free to become a VIP patron. Again, it's always appreciated, and to try to help keep this content accessible for everyone. So that is a little bit of a PSA on that. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any more chat messages, but I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, so if I don't have any more questions, we'll move on to DreamHost. But what I want to do, though, is I just wanted to kind of show you, you know, how that operates. So if anybody has any questions, let me know in the chat, or else I'm going to move on. Or, yeah, so just if you have questions about anything, or you just want to kind of ask me about different things. So anyways, that will do it for the domain part. So if you already have your domain, congratulations. You have one part of the website puzzle. Our next objective is to get our hosting. But we're going to do a couple things before we do that. There's a couple ways we could approach this. So we could change our name servers now, or we could change them when we get our hosting. I'm going to actually change them when I get my hosting. And I'm going to go ahead and go to dreamhost.com.
News app dash Google. DREAMHOST select.com. Dreamhost.com selected. Document busy blank. DreamHost our web hosting for your purpose. Clickable link panel dot. Customer support email colon.
I'm going to go to get started, and that's a button.
Starting at $2 in navigation landmark toggle navigation button collapsed. List with 2 items login button. Get started button. Hosting our web hosting plan starting at $2.59/mo-dream host. Heading level 3 AM-Press Plus. Heading level 3 Dreampress Pro. Specifically designed for WordPress M-high-performance and hassle.
And it's going to read all the different plans. So here's what I recommend. Let's actually go through their plans just so that everyone knows kind of what we have. The other thing too is that DreamHost does have a free domain included. I like to use Hover as well because I can get more extensions that I may be able to get from DreamHost, right? So if I have a .info, sometimes those things aren't available on DreamHost. But if you want to, you can always buy your domain from DreamHost because you get it included for free. So I just wanted to point that out there as a TLDR, that you do get your domain included for free on DreamHost. It's just that sometimes I like to use Hover, A, because they're awesome customer support, but also that way I can get a ton of different domain endings.
Clickable on sale. Link learn
more. So let's look at our plans. I'm just going to press H for headings.
Choose your hosting plan heading level 1. Monthly plan, yearly plans. On sale. Link heading level 2 shared starter.
Shared starter. So this is the bottom of the barrel plan.
Heading level 3 shared starter. Heading level 3 shared unlimited. A great place to start. Shared hosting with an entry level price for new sites, including WordPress. Starting at heading level 2, $2.95.
$2.95 a month.
Heading level 2. Save 63% over monthly.
But if you do monthly,
list with 11 items, one website.
Or sorry, yeah. So you can save 60% just by going annual. So that's pretty cool. And that's one website.
Free domain included.
Free domain.
Unlimited
traffic. So what that basically means is like viewers, because sometimes hosting companies will limit your traffic, meaning like if you get like over 100,000 views or 200,000, they may try to limit that in that way.
Unmetered
bandwidth.
Fast SSD storage.
SSD, so solid state drive storage. So that's great. We always want to see that.
WordPress pre-installed.
WordPress pre-installed. So this is why if you go with DreamHost, y'all, you'll get WordPress pre-installed and you won't have to deal with the next section that we're going to talk about in a little bit, installing WordPress. But for those other folks who may want to go with something else, I'm still going to show it just so that I can have a complete course for everyone.
Free SSL certificate.
SSL certificate, extremely important, and there are some people that don't include these for free. GoDaddy, Bluehost. I don't recommend those hosting providers at all, just because, again, they don't offer these features, but more importantly, you know, overpriced and all that kind of fun stuff.
Add email as low as $1.24/7 support. Add email as low as $1.67/mo.
Email.
24/7 support.
24/7 support. I always love to see that. That means that's great. I always love to see 24/7 support, just in case something goes wrong at 2 in the morning. You don't have to wait till the next day.
New WP website builder.
WP website builder. That's interesting.
New free automated WordPress migration.
Free automated WordPress migrations, and we're gonna talk about that later on. So don't worry. We're gonna do a review of that. So hold on tight. We're also gonna do a part 2 of this course. So if anybody wants a part 2. Let me know, because we are going to do a part 2, because this would be super long otherwise. We're probably going to do like part 3 and part 4. Just because this is going to be super, super long and in depth.
Out of list button sign up.
So that's that plan.
Link learn more about shared. On sale. Link heading level 2 DreamPress.
DreamPress. Now this is where things get fun. This is their managed WordPress hosting plan. And this is, you know, basically where you can have one website, but it'll be all managed for you. You get a bunch of WordPress features included. And let's review it here.
Heading level 3 DreamPress. Heading level 3 DreamPress Plus. Heading level 3 DreamPress Pro. Specifically designed for WordPress M-high-performance and hassle-free so you can focus on building your business. Starting at heading level 2, $16.95.
$16 a month.
Save 15% over monthly. List with 14 items, one WordPress website.
One WordPress website.
Free domain included.
Free domain.
Till the 100K monthly visitors.
100K monthly visitors. So whereas the other one kind of had limited, right? This is like, hey, 100K, you know, and then it may like slow down. So usually, you know, I don't even get 100K per month. That'd be nice. But usually, you know, 100K would, you know, do good for some medium business or whatever. But if you start to get a lot of traffic, which is great, then you may want to upgrade from that.
A meter bandwidth.
Meter bandwidth.
30 GB SSD storage.
30 gigabytes of SSD storage, so solid state drive storage for all your assets.
WordPress pre-install.
WordPress pre-install.
SSL certificate pre-install.
SSL certificate. Always love that.
Unlimited email.
Unlimited email. So you can actually have, for example, Taylor at taylораccess.com, which obviously I already have, or Taylor at wpforall.info. or your name at yourdomain.com. Very awesome. The cool thing about this is that it's a custom thing. And this is great because unlike Cpanel, the email that Cpanel gives is kind of trashy, but this is actually decent email and has spam and phishing protection. So that's just something to keep in mind as well.
24/7.
24/7 WordPress expert support. So that's great.
New WP website builder.
Website builder.
New free automated WordPress migrations.
Automated WordPress migrations.
On-demand backups and one-click restore.
On-demand backups and one-click restore. Oh, man. Gotta love this, right? Backups are so important. We're going to be talking about that in one of our future sections. Backups, basically, if something goes wrong, you can restore it, and there will not be any problems. You know, so always backup. In fact, I back up everything daily. Just in case I mess something up, I can always revert. I never, ever, ever go without backups, and you shouldn't either. You should always have some kind of backup solution, and we're going to be talking about that as well.
Jetpack free installed.
Jetpack free sorry. Jetpack is awesome, so we'll talk about Jetpack, but yeah, Jetpack is installed.
New one-click staging.
One-click staging. So we talked about staging earlier, where that's kind of like where you can keep your site private until you're ready to launch it.
Out of list button, sign up now.
Okay.
Link learn more. Link heading level 2 VPS 1 GB bar basic.
Now, I'm not going to go through all of these because that would take forever. And while I like to go through all these as myself, I think that'd be boring for the rest of you. So I'm going to go with the shared hosting just because that's what a lot of you are going to go with. But the process will be the same. So let's go through it.
Landmark link hosting flash. Choose your hosting plan heading
and
level
again,
1.
I already bought my DreamHost just because,
Monthly plans.
you know, I wanted to make sure that I was, you know, on top of it for the stream. But I'm going to show you the process anyways.
Yearly plans. On sale. Link heading level 2. Heading level 3 shared starter. Heading level 3 a great list to start. Shared host starting at. Heading level 2. Save 63% over list with 11 items. One website. Free
I'm going
domain
to go to
included.
sign up on the shared starter.
Sign up now button. Signal Stream host.
Okay.
Shared starter heading level 3. Link change plan. Renews automatically. List with free items monthly. $4 a yearly. $2.95
So monthly is
flat
$4, $5 a month. Yearly is $3. It's not bad. Not bad at all.
3 year. $2.59
And you can
flat
even
low.
do 3 years as well. So if you really like DreamHost, you want to, you know, get that price for a while, that is not bad at all.
Out of list separator. Clickable.
The general rule of web hosting, the more you book in advance, meaning the more that you buy, the more you'll save.
Your savings. $24. Due today. $35.40 reCAPTCHA group and recap link privacy. Link terms. Link terms.
Okay.
Link terms. Link protected by reCAPTCHA. Taskbar.
Whoops.
Feeds window. Choose a domain -dreamhost -Google. Link privacy. Link terms. Link terms. Out of group and out of list with 2 items. Click sign up for shared host list with free link. Choose link secure. Check no next edit field. Out of list clickable. Clickable. Let's go back. Register a new domain.
So I just hit next, and then it says register a new domain. And so basically this is the next screen of the DreamHost checkout screen.
Clickable. Let's go back. Choose a domain later.
Choose a domain later.
Clickable. Let's go back. I already
have a domain. So if you registered a domain with Hover, which I did, I'm going to select I already have a domain. And that is what I will go ahead and do now.
Clickable. Let's go back. Register. Clickable. Let's go back. I already have a domain. It's easy to point your existing domain to your site or transfer a domain to your DreamHost account. After checkout, we'll walk you through the process.
Okay.
Example.com edit.
So basically we would put our domain here, and then
Button assign.
we would assign it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to assign this domain to our DreamHost account. And then we're going to go ahead and change the name servers from there. So that is what we would do at that point. Now we already have a DreamHost account, but what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you go ahead and change your name servers. So let's go ahead and change some name servers, shall we? And again, if you bought a domain through DreamHost, you don't have to worry about this part. But for those people who bought with Hover, this is a necessary thing that needs to be done. But don't worry, it's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and do that.
Folder view list. Taylor
I'm gonna go
Baron,
to
YouTube
my-
Light T, Team Viewer 7 of 17. T, Taylor Chrome 16 of 17.
Taylor, Chrome
Move app back, Google
profile.
Chrome
I
back.
love Chrome profiles, FYI. I'm going to go to Hover.
HOVER.com. Hover.com selected. Document busy blank. Domain name star by domains and email at hover.com. Clickable mainland. Artist 75% off heading level
I'm
3
gonna
link.
go to-
Panorama, navigate link email. Link about us. Link blog. Link help. Visited link sign in. Clickable visited link control panel. Visited link sign in. Clickable visited link web link access link need main landmark heading level 1. You've got the ideas. 5 years of button. Already have a link link renew link heading link show link heading level 3. Shop me at
Sign
33%.
in.
Banner land navigate link team link about link log link help. Visited link clickable visited link sign in. Main landmark button. Transferring link. Renewing dot shop is 87%. Don't email from tip read visit our content info landmark Twitter link Facebook link.
Then I already signed in.
Banner landmark navigation link email link about us link log link help. Visited link sign in. Main landmark heading level 1 new banner. Clickable visited link view and manage domains email and features. Sign in cover main landmark. Use edit blank.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the screen sharing for just a minute while I register this and get my account. That way everybody doesn't see my credentials. This would be a good time, though. If you do have any questions, you can feel free to leave them in the chat. So if you have any questions, I would love to hear them. And if you have any thoughts, what do you think about this class? Let me know. Leave them in the chat. I'd love to hear them, and we'll go ahead and continue.
Toolbar, error menu button, submenu.
Voiceover on mic, zoom.us. Zoom, audio, mute button. Menu, zoom, meet, view. Mute, keep, mute, ask, mute, stop, switch camera, stop video command, stop share, pause, stop share command.
So, let me see here. All right. David, I will try to put timestamps, but you know what's even better? I will mark out, I will put videos. So as I've been doing this, I've been recording separate videos. So literally there'll be separate videos from the stream as well. So basically each section is going to be its own video. So better than timestamps. Dropbox as a viable option for website backup. Well, that's debatable. How are you planning to do that? There are plugins, and I'm just going to go into this now. So WordPress has two different things here. We've got plugins and we've got themes. Plugins are basically where it will help extend and add functionality to websites, right? So for example, there's a backup plugin called Updraft Plus, and that will allow you to connect to Dropbox. So in that regard, yes, Dropbox is a viable option because you're going to use Updraft Plus. There's a free version. But if you're literally just going to do a raw backup on Dropbox, then I would say no. But if you're going to use Updraft Plus, I would say that would definitely be viable. Does that help? And I'll put a link to that as well. But that I love Updraft Plus. And you can actually connect it to more than just Dropbox. So Google Drive, OneDrive, you know, so lots of cool. But yeah, does that help? So I'm just going to log into my Hover account real quick. So, all right, so let me log into Hover. But yeah, I would say if you're going to use Dropbox, you'll want to use Updraft. That way you can back up, and you can have it go automatically once a day. And that's what I typically do, is I have it go once a day for backups. So yeah, I will put timestamps, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to also have it separated into separate videos and separate episodes so that it's easier for everyone to find, just so that everyone can try to, you know, get access to it. So, let me log into my Hover account once for all. And for password management, FYI, I love 1Password. So I'm just logging into my Hover account. If you don't have a password manager, you need one because you don't want the same password on all your sites. So I love 1Password. So I definitely highly recommend that. It is definitely awesome. All right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to log in, and I'm logged into my Hover, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Again. So,
Zoom.us, Zoom share toolbar window, system.
all right.
Zoom.us has new system. Zoom.us, Safari, Calendar, Finder, Microsoft Remote Desktop, now, space with
So-
Microsoft VoiceOver.
I am now in my Hover account, and we're going to change some name servers. All right, so let's go ahead and change some name servers to DreamHost.
Link sign out. Link help.
And what we're going to do is we're going
Main
to
landmark
click
your domain
on...
www.hover.com heading level 1 visited link www quick filter domains edit combo checkbox button status email button owner button clickable link on yours linknetwork.com.
And you can see all my domains in my account. Now, you may be thinking there's a lot of unlabeled buttons, and yes, there are. But it's still very navigatable from a screen reader perspective. So every domain I have is a link. And I've got about 9 Hover domains at this point, which is crazy. Or even 10. I don't even know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use my links list. So insert F7. Or your elements list in NVDA or whatever screen reader you want to use.
Toolbar, address and search bar edit as autocomplete CTRL hover.com send this page button manage domains dash hover document email link. Elements list dialog.
We're gonna go
level 0
to-
email level 12 55 level provision.com w foral.club22 fifth w foral.info semi visited 34 fifth manage
WP
domains dash
for all
hover dash
that
Google
info.
Chrome dash Taylor manage domains dash hover document link email foral.info visited link.
And folks, this site, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be a info place, basically where it'll have all my favorite WordPress resources. So that's what WP for all.info is. So once it's done, and we're going to be building the whole thing pretty much on course, on set. Once it's done, you'll basically be able to see kind of how that works, right? Because it'll be kind of a place where I put all my favorite resources.
Button.
All right.
Forwards heading level 2.
So-
Heading level 2. Heading link more. Forward your domain anywhere you would redirect visitors to your Facebook email heading level 2. Match your email to your web email foral. No next heading.
What we're going to do
Banner
is...
landmark visited link graphic main landmark foral. Jump to another heading visited banner landmark navigation main heading jump to edit as autocomplete list with visited link connect. Link forwards. Link email. Link advanced. Out of list heading list with link email link for link connect. Visited link DNS.
DNS.
DNS visited link.
I'm going to click on that.
No next heading. No next heading. Link connect link forwards. No next heading. Out of list banner main no next heading. Jump to another edit as auto list with visited link connect link forwards. Link email link out of list clickable filter your records edit. Combo checkbox button type. Button host button value. No next heading.
And...
TTL button. Clickable out of frame link privacy file visited link web visited account link service link
I got
host support link ability link job
lost,
link to products link
let's see
LinkedIn
here.
link Facebook link CNA clickable checkbox clickable hover 15 minutes 10 mx hover banner landmark visited link graphic hover navigate link email visited link forwards visited link setting link help link sign out main landmark visited link view all domains heading level 1 foral.info jump to another domain edit as autocomplete list with 6 items visited link overview
They actually just changed this on me, so sorry, y'all.
details are new heading level 2 name servers left
Name
parent,
servers.
right
So
parent,
what you're
edit
going to do is
button.
you're actually going to go to overview and then name servers. Sorry, y'all. Again, they just changed this on me like today. So overview and then name servers. And you hear name servers.
list with 9 out of list heading level 2 name servers left parent heading level 2 button edit list with 2 items ns1.dreamlist.com
You notice I already put it at DreamHost. And yeah, I already put the name servers at DreamHost. And I have 2 name servers that I've already used. So basically what you do is you'd hit edit and you would put the name servers you want to use. By default, they're set to ns1 and ns2.hover.com. I would get rid of those values and I'd put in DreamHost. And then I'd hit save changes or put in whatever host you want to use. Okay, so that is how we change name servers. Do I have any questions in my chat before I continue on showing you how I would install WordPress if I was some kind of, on some other host, or I wanted to use something different, and I wanted to know how do I install WordPress if it's not pre-installed for me. So if I have any questions, I will answer them now. If I don't, I will move on to the next section of the course. But this has been an awesome stream, though. What do you guys think? Are you happy with it? I'm glad I've gotten some pretty cool comments so far. But another note to note here is that if you like my work, I am going to be selling a WordPress course for NFB and ACB and other conventions. So you can only get it if you're attending those conventions. So it's a good reason to come. And basically, I'll be showing you how to build a complete site just like this. But I'll have some more of my top tips and some more things that you would not want to miss in terms of building websites, because I do this all day, every day for a living. And so I've got some awesome tips, but at least I can show you kind of what I do now. And hopefully you would like to buy the course. It'll probably be for about $100 to $150. And it will kind of show the whole entire process and give some exclusive discounts as well that you will not find anywhere else. So if you like my work, be on the lookout. Follow all my social media for when that release comes out, and be sure to come to conventions. I think I'm going to NFB of Texas. So if anybody is going to be there, we're going to be selling the courses as well. Michael Dowies is going to be selling a course on Swift UI and iOS development. So if you would like to support us, we will have an exhibit table more than likely. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we were kind of in a waiting period. But without further ado, we will move on to the next section if I don't have any questions.
Audio submit. Stop video. Secure participants. Menu. Zoom meeting. Keep mute. Ask mute. Stop. Switch camera. Stop video command. Stop. Pause. Stop share. Command Shift F.
All right. So I'm just going to hold on a second. Okay, so I'm going to do some things here to get ready for our next section. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, sorry for the construction, guys. My apartment thought it'd be a good idea to do construction. So, I apologize for that. Don't really have any control there, but I just thought I'd apologize. But yeah. So, sorry for the loud noises outside. Alright, so, but yeah, like I said, I'm just getting a couple things ready for the next section. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, now is a great time to ask them. Or if you have any thoughts, I want to hear what you guys are I want to hear what your thoughts are. So if anybody has any, I'd like to hear them. All right. So, let me go ahead and all right. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and okay. So, let's see here. What I'm basically doing right now is I am playing with some things. So that way I can show you how to install it. Okay. So, let's see. Okay. So, let's see here. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, sorry guys, just take me just a second to get this going here. That way I can show you guys. All right, so all right, we are ready to go. So what we're gonna do is, let's say, let me actually go to my recording. But hopefully you guys are able to understand. Whoops. All right.
You have
Zoom.us.
started.
So in this section,
Zoom.us has new
we're
system.
going to install WordPress. Let's say that you don't want to use DreamHost and you want to use something different. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to install WordPress, and that way you can see how the process is done. So, with a little bit of magic on my end, I was able to magically transform this DreamHost site into some other server that I have lying around, and unfortunately, WordPress isn't installed. We're going to fix that little issue by installing WordPress. All right. What we're going to do is this is a cPanel server. So for folks who don't know, cPanel is a web hosting control panel that is built into 95% of all web hosting sites. GoDaddy, Bluehost. DreamHost actually doesn't use it. They use a custom panel. But a lot of our WordPress and others, Namecheap uses it. And what we're going to do is we're going to install WordPress with cPanel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And the way you access this is if you have a cPanel site. Again, if you're using DreamHost, this section doesn't apply. But I thought I'd cover all my bases just in case I have listeners who don't want to use DreamHost for some reason. So what we're going to do is you're going to go to yourdomain.com/cpanel. So in this case, it's WP for all .info/cpanel. And I'm going to go there.
Audio submenu. Mail. Microsoft Remote Desk. Now. Space with Microsoft.
Blank. Skip the main content. Search
So,
combo box collapsed as auto.
I'm already there.
Remote desktop containing Windows Cloud PC. Voice.
And I'm going to shush my voiceover. So I'm already here, and basically what I have is I have a big control panel with a cPanel backend. So the easiest way... Wait, let me make sure I'm recording. Hold on.
Zoom.us. Zoom. View. Stop. Switch camera. Stop share command. Pause share. Invite command. Record to the cloud
I'm
command.
not
Record
recording.
on this computer. Closing menu. Mute
Well, I
button.
checked.
Record on this computer. Voiceover
Okay.
off.
Sorry, I want to make sure I was recording. So,
Voiceover. Voiceover
it
off.
looks like my computer just froze on me.
Voice.
Blank. Skip
So-
the main content link.
In this section,
Link notification.
we're
Skip the main
going to
content.
be using cPanel to install WordPress. So cPanel, folks, is a web hosting control panel that's built into 95% of all website hosting packages. So GoDaddy, Namecheap are some of the few that have it. DreamHost has its own custom solution, but for folks who don't want to use DreamHost or who have it on another host, I want to show you how you would install WordPress using something called Softaculous, which is built into 99% or, all the cPanel. It's basically kind of a package, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to log into our cPanel, and typically what this is cPanel has a lot of options. So we've got, managing our emails, our domains, our records. It's kind of like a big control panel, cPanel, right? And you access it by going to yourdomain.com/cpanel. In other words, that would be wp4all.info/cpanel. But because we are already there, we don't need to go there. And what you'll do is you'll put in your username and password given when you set up your account, or that was given by a hosting provider. I'm already logged in, and what I get is I get a search field. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to WordPress hosting by Softaculous. So I'm going to actually type it in. So WordPress.
Not support no content. No. Deny radio button check. Link skip the banner landmark navigation landmark search. Search combo box collapsed as WordPress. WordPress manager by Technopolis hosting. WordPress management.
That's our dev server. I'm now going to hit B to install now.
No next visited link. Install but scan button link. Link button install. Clickable heading level 4 install.
Okay.
Button frame on label.
I'm
graphic
going to
definition, image
press
description.
E to get in my edit fields.
Choose installation URL edit WP.
I'm going to press
Document.
backspace to get rid of the WP. So in other words, that would say, for example, wp4all.info/WP. No. Make sure that's blank. You want the WordPress install to be installed at the root of the directory. So always ensure that you're at the /WP. You get rid of that.
Choose the version you want to install. Combo box 5.8 collapsed.
5.8, that's our latest.
Site name edit selected by Bob.
Site name, so this is your
Unselected.
website name. You could either do this through Softaculous or manually. I will eventually do a manual tutorial, but yeah, for now I just want to do it through Softaculous. I'm going to say WP for all.
WP F space FOR space ALL space WW.
Site descriptions is kind of the description. I'm going to say a list
A space LIST space
of
OF space A CCESS IDLE space WORDPRESS space RESOCES space SECUOSER space RESOURCES space FOR space ALLLLA space ROF FOR space ALL dot. A list of accessible WordPress resources for all. Enable multi-site left parent.
Okay.
Admin username.
I'm not going to worry about multi-site. That's basically if you want to have a multiple, sites on the single installation. That is way beyond the scope of this course, so we're not going to worry about that.
Admin use separator. Admin account. Separator. Admin user. Edit admin.
Admin. I always
Admin
change
select.
this.
Unselected.
And I changed this because I don't want, admin and pass are the default values. And that is an easy way to get hacked. So I always change this. I try to change it to something unique for each site in a sense, obviously, like my name. What I'm going to change it for this is I'm going to actually change it to something to the effect of, actually, I'm just going to put my name in this case. But I try to, for example, if I have a client site, I try to put their name. Or I try to make it unique so that hackers won't figure out that I use the same admin username on every site. And I also install security and stuff, but that's way beyond this video for today. So I'm going to type in Taylor.
Taylor.
And I typically don't have any spaces or any capitalizations in usernames. And I'm going to press tab.
Admin password edit selected.
Pass.
S.
Absolutely change this. So you're going to need to change this to something better. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it to...
generate a random password.
I'm going to generate a random password.
Blank. Admin email. Edit admin forum.
I'm going to say
admin,
Taylor
unselect Taylor.
at
Number. T number. At TAYLORACCESS.com. Select language combo box English collapsed.
Plugin sets. You can have Softaculous install a plugin and theme sets automatically. For the scope of this tutorial, I'm not going to have it do that just because I want to show you the whole entire process. So the next button I'm literally going to hit is install now.
Clickable manage theme sets button link. Install button. Unavailable.
And press enter. And we're going to wait and we're going to have a website.
HTTP administrative URL colon link WordPress has been successfully installed colon. Link HTTP colon HTTP colon //4.info/wp/wp -admin /link Untitled Google Chrome Taylor document busy blank dashboard WP for all M WordPress.
I did what I shouldn't have.
Toolbar address PFORALL.info/WP
You know what? I screwed up.
Dashboard WP link skip clickable submenu link submenu submenu out of list with one item submenu.
Let's say you made the same mistake I did and accidentally put /WP. Even though I thought I got rid of it. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to actually clone the installation and we're going to put it on the root. And then we can actually get rid of it. So I'll show you in case you made the same mistake I did. If you haven't, that's great. Good for you. But sometimes we make this mistake and I actually had to fix this earlier today for a client.
Dialog. Visited link HTTP colon.
So let's fix this. And we also have to make sure that it's secure. Because we see HTTP. We want to make sure that it says HTTPS in order to be secure. So we got to fix a couple things.
Blank. Visited administer link WordPress separator. Heading level blank.
I'm going to press Control W.
WHM left bracket server right bracket account creation step button go to Cpanel.
I'm going to go to Cpanel.
Landmark.
WordPress.
Landmark. WORDPRES. WordPress manager by Tycopolis hosting. Softaculous WordPress graphic welcome for WordPress separate link button
I'm
install.
going to go to
link buttons installations. Link HTTP colon //4.info WP for all. Link HTTP link server link index.live. Graphic clickable left line menu. Link index.live. Link index.live. Link index.live. Link index.live.
And all these are unlabeled, unfortunately.
Link index.live. Link index. Graphic clickable left line menu. Welcome WordPress management separator. WordPress welcome graphic clickable left line menu. Blank. List with 14 items. Link PHP. Blank out of list graphic link index.live. Tycopolis hosting powered by Softac graphic left welcome link visited link top scripts. Visited link outdated installation 0. Link installation 1.
Installation 1. So I went to
Softaculous all installations. Visited link graphic left line welcome 4. Table with 1 rows admin column installation version column options column 6 check out of table with link WordPress. Checkbox not checked. Row 2 WordPress column 1 link HTTP colon //4.info/WP. WordPress column 2 link index.live at equals WordPress column 3 today at 7:37 p.m. WordPress column 2 link index.live at equals sign line on index equals 2.
Sign on.
WordPress column 4 5.8. WordPress column 5 link unlabeled graphic WP dash gray. Link index.live at equals staging and index equals 2. Link index.live at equals clone and index equals 26.
Clone. I'm going to clone it.
Clone installation. Visited link index.live. Graphic left line menu. Combo box collapse HTTP colon
And only do this if you absolutely made up, messed up your thing. Because what will happen is I'll clone it and then I'll remove the old one. That way I don't have to go through this process again that took a while. So it says HTTP. Make sure you change that to HTTPS if you made this mistake.
HTTP colon //www. HTTPS colon //.
Okay.
Combo box 4.info collapsed. Choose installation URL edit selected WP.
WP is gone.
Database name edit selected W. Disable search engine visibility checkbox not checked. Site name link. Clone installation button.
Clone installation.
Unavailable.
So again, mistakes happen. You know, that happens every once in a while, but I showed you kind of a way to fix it. You just go to clone, and then we, we'll clone it, and then we'll remove the old one.
Blank. Link blank. So regard blank. Individual notebook blank. We hope blank. Link H link H WordPress separator. WordPress link https://plural.info.
Didn't that sound a lot better, y'all? We have a WordPress installation. So let's go to the site and we'll see what we have.
https://plural.info link. Untitled Google Chrome Taylor. Document busy blank. Privacy error. Heading level 1. Your connection is not private.
I
But hackers might be trying to
understand.
steal your information
That's
from
because
plural.info.
sometimes the SSL certificate takes a little while to install. So depending on your web host provider, it may not install instantly. So if you get this little error, don't freak out. I'm just going to go to advanced.
Button collapsed advanced. Button collapsed advanced. Hide advanced. Link proceed to
Proceed.
plural.info left. WP for all and -a list of accessible WordPress resources for all. Link skip to consent.
And guess what? We have our first website. Now, this has been a long stream. So, we're going to end it today right here, but we're going to do a part 2 where we're actually going to go into configuration and all that stuff. I'm hoping that you learned a lot from this, and I'm going to also show you part 2 how to migrate this site to the DreamHost using the automated migration plugin. But I'm really hoping that you learned a lot. All of these sections will be in their own individual videos for easier clarity. And I want to take some time now to answer questions. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And I want to take some time to answer some questions because I know this has been a long stream. And I want to answer all questions if I can now.
Voice Finder, Mail, Zoom.us,
If anybody's still watching
Zoom menu, Zoom, view, edit, win, help, edit, view, Zoom, meet, keep, stop, switch, stop video command, stop share, pause, stop share, command shift.
So if anybody's still watching this, hopefully they are. I know this has been long, but hopefully people are still watching it. But I want to take a little bit of time now to answer questions and to wrap up. So, I see we have a few people watching. If I don't have any questions, that's great. I'll go ahead and give some information where people can find more of my work. And I'll go ahead and wrap this up. But I'm just going to see if anybody has any questions. So, let's see. Okay, so I'm not seeing any comments. If you haven't liked the video yet, be sure to like it. That would be much appreciated as well. So if I don't see any more chat, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. So this has been a Taylor's Tech Talks WordPress 101 course. I'm super excited that you guys have stayed till the end, or maybe you've watched different parts of it. Again, my name is Taylor Arndt. I'm an accessibility professional, consultant, and developer, and I've been in the industry for 3 years. It has been a very pleasure to teach you some about WordPress today, and be sure to look out for more of my links and everything else. I'm going to throw in the description all of my different referral links and everything that I use for my business and different things that I use, and you will get some awesome discounts as well, and you'll help support Taylor Access and Taylor's Tech Talks. If you would like to work with me for accessibility or WordPress or anything else, you can email me at taylor@taylораccess.com and we can see what we can do. If you'd like to visit my company website, you can email or you can look at that at tayloraccess.com. And if you would like to support on Patreon, feel free to do that as well. That's always appreciated, and you can get some awesome perks. So Taylor's Tech Talks is on Patreon at patreon.com/Taylor's Tech Talks. And please support the community as well. That way we can produce awesome content like this. So that has been an awesome video for today. Awesome stream. What are your all thoughts? I'm loving it. And without further ado, let me just make sure I don't have any more chats. I think that that's going to be a wrap. So let's see. So, I don't see any more comments. Let me just make sure, though. Nope. Okay, folks. That is going to be a wrap, and I will look forward to talking with you soon. Subscribe to get the latest updates. Push your notification bell. Ring it. And be sure to look out for new videos.